All right, so my name is Craig Blanchette, and it's my pleasure to bring you this Take Shape for Life University segment. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to go over Chapter 23 in Dr. A's Habits of Health. So if you haven't seen this, you need to grab it. It's probably sitting by your door, keeping it from closing. And so what you want to do is there's some stuff inside of there that could change your life, but right now it's just going to keep your door from closing unless you pull it out and read it. So this chapter is titled The Habits of Longevity and Living Longer in Ultra Health. And so mainly this main chapter, really, it's I'm going to read this little subtitle on the first page here. Learning and practicing the habits of health is the first step in slowing biological aging. Once you have those under your belt, you're ready to reach out to the very cutting edge of medical science and adopt new practices that show the most promise for extending lifespan, the habits of longevity. And so with that, I'm going to open up the lines here and welcome all of the other coaches that are with us today. And we'll kind of go through this kind of one primary chunk at a time. And so this first couple pages here, pages 289 and 290, was there some specific stuff that jumped out, or maybe just somewhere in the chapter, or something that you would like to discuss or have a question about, or maybe some of these things you've incorporated? Who wants to go first? Okay, awesome. Does that mean it's me? So I'll say a few things that I thought were pretty good is the difference biological aging and the age at which your mind ages. And we talked about the idea of life expectancy and predicted maximum lifespan. So on page 290 there, they talk about that if you are practicing habits of health. See, here's one thing to think about. You can think that it's maybe cumbersome to not eat that birthday cake, or to not have those artificial, whatevers, and it's not going to be that big of a deal. It's only, this thing or that thing, right? But ultimately, when we talk about quality of life and longevity, I don't think anybody wants to live old and be broken down. So when we think of someone that's 100 years old, we don't think of somebody that's fit and moving around well. We think of a worn out old Ford. But if we practice these habits of longevity, starting with the habits of health, you actually can retire, if you will, retire this life in a body that's pretty functional. And so it's this accumulation over time. But really, they talked about it being the actual maximum lifespan in today's world, post-flood, is 122 years. That was Mrs. Calment. And I know that Dr. A is talking for a while about he wants to live to be 123. So he can have the record. But we talk about, predicted maximum lifespan. If you actually are practicing these things, our body can live to be older than 122. We just don't treat it well enough to do that. What do you think about some of those things, Betsy? Any comments? I know you talked to me about some of the things that you eat, and you call it old people food. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, I definitely, Craig and I have talked about this. I was about halfway through my program, and I did the program, let's see, I was 57 at the time. And about halfway through the program, I woke up and I realized that my body wasn't aching and my joints weren't hurting like we're always told just happens to old people as you get older. And it's interesting, when I veer off program for a day or two, guess what starts hurting? My joints and things like that. And so it definitely pays to continue on a healthy lifestyle and a healthy track because, I guess they call it a low inflammation diet for a reason. And it's a low inflammation nutrition plan that makes a difference in that healthy life. And it also makes for much clearer thinking. And I think that's probably maybe even a bigger component for me is the clear thought, since I have two parents that died both supposedly of complications of Alzheimer's. Thought I was going that direction, but I found out it was due to my nutrition. So it's definitely made a big difference all the way around, and I'm very glad I was introduced to this program 3 years ago.
I know. Yeah, you really, it's weird to be getting older but looking younger, and it's awesome actually. Especially getting older but feeling younger. I have some people that say, by the way, here's a quick little update. Remember Uncle Norm? So my uncle that we talked to almost 6 years ago was going in for gastric bypass and probably has about a little over 100 pounds to lose. Well, he's been on the program since beginning of January, so 25 days. His doctor told him he's type 2 diabetic. Doctor told him, and he's on insulin. Doctor told him, if you don't make a change, I'm going to have to put you on injectable insulin. And he said, just give me one more, just give me another chance. Well, he called me for another unrelated reason. He wanted to get a hold of my father. And we just started talking about health, and he became a client. And he went in, his A1C was 12.7, right? He went in yesterday, 6.2. 6.2. He tells me this crazy talk. He says, well, here's the deal, Craig. Sometimes I'm waking up with my blood sugar and it's around 55. And so I'm just trying to figure out this program. And I said, Uncle Norm, how about maybe you should take less insulin? Didn't even cross his mind. He was thinking the program was messing up his insulin. Not that his insulin isn't needed because he's actually getting healthy. And so he goes, I go, didn't when we started, you said you wanted to get off insulin? He said, yeah. And I said, well, that's exactly what you're doing, isn't it? And so he's like, my doctor. So here's the new term, guys. Clients of our program end up breaking up with their doctors. The doctor said, I don't want to see you anymore. Maybe once every 4 months. She was seeing him twice a month. That's like breaking up, isn't it? What a cool thing. We get to break up with our doctors. And it was a cheerful goodbye because she hugged him and said, I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. So pretty great news. I just talked to him earlier today. So on page 293, you've got some of the habits of longevity here, right? It's one of the first things that we do. And he says, do this right now, no matter where you are in life. The first thing is to stop smoking. That's going to get you like 50% of the way there. If you're smoking and you stop, you're not going to believe how important that is, right? Eliminate all recreational drugs. That makes sense. What about this? Wear a passenger restraint system anytime you're in a car. That's called a seatbelt. And purchase a vehicle with side bags. What if you're super duper healthy and you don't wear your seatbelt and you get into a car accident and you die? It didn't matter that you have high antioxidant levels in your blood, or the fact that you had low inflammation, or the fact that you drink 80 ounces of water every day and get great sleep. When a car hits you, you're dead, right? That's not good. So drive the speed limit. I don't want you dying at age 100 because you're showing off to the twins. Limit your intake of alcohol. So he talks about that. Avoid situations that put you at risk for diseases. Avoid sunburn at all costs. And don't exercise on roads used by motor vehicles. That's one I'm trying to work on. So I'm limiting that. And cars win every time. So I work out on roads and trails as often as I can where there aren't cars. So number 2 is creating a healthy environment, right? Actually, do any of you guys want to talk about or have comments about any of those things from step 1? We've got about 6 minutes left here.
No, Craig, really quick, I think just to highlight something you said, you made a really good point when you said, it doesn't do any good to live a healthy lifestyle and not wear your seatbelt. it doesn't do any good to live a healthy lifestyle and run on busy roads where traffic could swerve and hit you. So just a really good point, and probably things we don't think about in our normal habits of health. So thanks for that reminder.
Yeah. Well, when I take the well-being assessment, I score lower in the safe and healthy category because I exercise a lot, and I am much, much safer than I ever have been. I have lights and flags, and I ride with a team of people, and I go on the back roads and non-busy. Guess what? I'm a health coach. What? I can work out anytime I want during the day. I don't have to go when I get off work, right? And so I can go when everybody else is at work, when the roads are not busy. And so those are some of, that's some of my strategies, because I know cars win every time. So here's one. Step 4, go to the dentist. It's actually a habit of health to have your teeth taken care of. That you can actually really get sick. Remember Tom Hanks? Castaway? Not good. So things can get really bad really quick, and you can die just from tooth decay. Anyway, what else we got here? Genetic programming. Those are the main things that I had that I had highlighted here. So we have a few more minutes here if you guys just want to, maybe not too much popped out to you, but anything else? I can hear you.
Hey, yeah, this is Jeremy. The thing that stood out to me, and it's something that's pretty comforting to me, is the fact that your genetics was, a minor part of it compared to what you can actually control, because most of my grandparents had died at an early age, usually in their 60s. Maybe one of them made it to their 70s. So that was something that was, I took a little solace, I guess, in knowing that I had a little more control over that than what I had originally thought.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah. They talk about genetics being 30%. And so the difference between 30 and 100, I believe, is 70. And I'm almost certain that 70, let me do the math. Yep, 70 is bigger than 30 by a lot. And so I'm thinking, if I can pay attention to the 70, I don't have to have my life dictated me by the 30, right? So I'm going to take full ownership over the 70, and it's going to overpower the 30 regularly. Stephanie, do you have anything to add on this? Okay. I'm going to think that is maybe a no. How about them apples?
All right.
Yeah,
Craig.
Go ahead, Grandpa Dick. Yeah.
This is Grandpa Dick. Now, I'm going to take ownership of the 70 February 13th. I will be 70. I heard someone say that their grandparents lived. My grandparents lived, my grandfather to 91 and my grandmother to 93. Now, that's on my fraternal. And paternal were, I think, in their 65s or 70s. So this program, I want to get together, hopefully more than just on the phone here, but I forget things. I'm still new at it. I realize reading that I'm not eating my good fats and things like that. So I'm going, oh, well, what's happening to me? I'm floundering at 260. But that's because I haven't recovered from Thanksgiving and Christmas. But I'm the one that's resolved to get to 162. So I need to do everything that it says, and that's why I enjoy listening in as the coaches speak. All of you, it helps me. But do you ever get together, y'all? I mean, I know you had something going in the last 2 weeks, and I couldn't make it over at that, what was it?
Heathman Lodge?
That's right. I was really ill that day. But when's the next time the whole group's going to get together, maybe?
Yeah, I know that we do some things at Chuck's. Martin, why don't you announce when you do your events? I think it's once or twice a month at Chuck's Produce.
Okay, I'd like to meet with people because I know it's important, but my 70, as the one lady did say, you know, my mind is clearer when I'm on my optimal program, but I've just not quite got it all down and understand it. So by being around you, I'm sure I'm going to get it. I'm going to go, oh, wow, I'm glad.
Yeah.
I know you're all real people, but I would like to kind of rub shoulders, elbows with you, and just say I'm sold.
Well, I want to get a
Thank
photo with you, Grandpa Dick, because you're famous among the coaching community, by the way.
Oh no, let me see. I'll have to figure out what mask I'm going to wear that day.
Yeah, sure.
I'll wear the happy one. The
Yep.
happy one. How's that?
That's right.
All right.
But we want you to have suspenders on those pants.
Yeah, that's right.
I do have some suspenders, but I want to get another pair of pants that are smaller. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
that'll
I'm
work.
losing like
Yep.
it. Thank you all for the encouragement. Now I'll say over and out.
Okay, thank you, Grandpa Dick. So as we're closing up here, right at the top of the hour, one of the strategies that I've used for years, so I'm going to talk about this for maybe 2 minutes. By the way, welcome, Virginia. We're glad you're here. Is when let's say you're somebody wants to come over to your house and they're sick. You know, one of the things I've done is I just said, don't come over. And I know it sounds weird and it might sound rude, but I don't want them to get sick. And as an athlete, back in the day when I was racing, I literally could not afford to get sick. Like it would cost me training days, which would cost me racing places. And that was not good. And I know even today, when people that come over that are sick, you know, I'll just stay 10 or 12 feet away from them and just really keep my distance. And I'm surprised at how little I do get sick. And I don't take it personal, man. I like you, right? But you're sick and I don't want your diseases on me. And what do you guys think about sort of that basic concept? Actually, here's a story. I was going to Australia about 5 years ago, and I was training hard for a race, flying all the way to Australia. I mean, it's like 15 hours in the air. It's horrible, right? Well, the guy behind me was coughing and throwing up into a bag. Seriously, right behind me. And I'm thinking, my immune system's strong. What can I do? Okay. And I just was praying, right? So I land, everything seems okay. The next day, pretty good. The fourth day, I raced on the fifth day. The fourth day, I was in bed with 103-degree temperature and cold chills, and it was the middle of Australian summer. And the next morning, I woke up and I took drugs, legal drugs, to dry everything up, and so I wasn't sniffly and I wasn't like that, but my body was sick even though I didn't have symptoms. And I crashed in the race and it was just horrible. And so you do all this training and travel all that way and then somebody behind you is sick. Here's a crazy story. 3 years later, they invite me to come back. And I go to sit down and the person next to me is just blowing their nose and just mucus everywhere. And I said, I can't sit there. I won't sit there. And they moved me, thankfully. But I couldn't believe that. You're thinking, I won't really get sick. And oh my goodness, I got sick.
I think that's a wise decision.
Yeah, thank you.
That you say, sorry, I can't sit next to you.
Yep.
You know, that's wise.
Yep. Or at least they could put something over their mouth. I mean, oh, it looks weird. That's okay. I've got things to do.
So you wonder why you see a lot of of foreigners, I wanted to say a lot of foreigners that actually get on a plane wearing a surgical mask.
Yeah. When you travel, yeah. And I don't know if they're sick or they don't want to get sick. That's what I'm assuming. But yeah, awesome. All right. So next week, we're going to go over chapter 22, the principles of longevity, and healthy weight, active individual versus overweight and sedentary individual. And so we're going to do that, chapter 22 in the habits of health next week. And I'm going to pause the video here, the recording, and then